Hello and welcome. Of course, this unmistakably is the Melbourne Cup, and any owner, trainer, jockey in Australia, or for the world that matter, would be happy to have one of these in their collection. One such jockey who has 3 in his collection is Kerrin McEvoy, and in the year 2000 aboard Brew, became the second youngest jockey to have won the Melbourne Cup. He was surprised when I spoke to him during the week about who the youngest jockey was to have won a Melbourne Cup. I caught up with him at his beautiful property on the Central Coast to chat about his wonderful career, including 81 Group 1 wins. Well, Kieran, thank you for inviting me to this beautiful place you've got here on the Central Coast. It must be paradise here.
Yeah, thanks for coming along, Steve. It is. It's property here we've had for a couple of years, and yeah, it's great for the family to be able to live in the city but still come out and have a bit of time in the countryside. It's fantastic. The kids' ponies here and classic legends here as well, and yeah, my wife Kathy enjoys riding as a pleasure and a pastime, and yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Well, Kieran, you started riding in 1997, and of course, like everyone, you probably remember your first race ride.
Yeah, I do actually. It was at Balaclava for Peter Hayes at the time, and my uncle Tony McEvoy was foreman for years at the Hayeses there at Lindsay Park, and I was able to learn a lot of my early days craft in the holidays up at Lindsay Park, and done my trials in Adelaide, and had my first race ride over there as well. So I was at Balaclava on a day in March, and I was on a little horse called Dance Detail, and I remember that Peter Hayes and the stable had about 7 or 8 runners in this. I think it was a mile maiden or a 1400 metre maiden, and yeah, I got a gig. So he was a lovely little horse, quiet to ride, and perfect for a first spin round as your first race ride.
And everyone, of course, would remember their first winner. Do you?
Yeah, that was on a little country track only an hour from where I grew up, which was at Streaky Bay, and my first winner was on a track at Sejuna, and on the dirt. It was an oil-based track, and that was the Easter weekend of '97, and I was on a mare called a Treese, trained by Butch Hebman, who was a local farmer slash hobby trainer, and knew my family well and knew my pop well, and yeah, first winner was on a Treese. I think it might have been a mile race as well, 1600 metres, and might have only been a field of 5 or 6, but she got the job done. So yeah.
Well, Kieran, your real first big break came obviously in 2000 when you became the second youngest jockey to win the Melbourne Cup on Brew.
Yeah, amazing to think that I was able to go from Sejuna in '97 to winning Australia's biggest race, the Melbourne Cup, 3 years later was it's quite remarkable, really, and a lot of things had to go right, leading up to that, and I got a lot of support through my apprenticeship from Mike Moroney and his team, and I'd ridden a good handful of winners for them leading up to that spring of 2000, and lucky enough I'd won on Brew, and a lot of things, as I said, had to go right, and Chris Muntz won on the horse on the Saturday in the Lexus or the Saab or whatever it's called now, and that qualified him for the race, and he dropped from 58 kilos way down to 49, and obviously not many people could ride 49, and I was lucky enough to be given the keys, so to speak, and then went to the barrier draw all excited with my now wife Kathy, and walked out of there with our tail between our legs, having drawn barrier 24, and I thought, oh geez, barrier 24, but in actual fact it took the pressure off me. Yes. And Kathy, we were driving home, and I still remember we were going through a roundabout, and Kathy's words were, well, whatever will be, will be. Yeah. And it just sort of relaxed me a little bit, and I thought, yeah, I've just got to try and make best of what the situation is, and went out there, and yet to this day I haven't given a horse a better ride in a staying race than that day. I was able to, I sidled over after a furlong and a half, got into a spot, one off the rail, and Brew was a horse that you needed to get a bit of cover on, and he could over race at times, but going past the halfway mark, I was having a dream run, and then I angled out and got into a 3 wide line moving forward, and at the 600 I remember saying to myself, right, just count to 10 here, and I was just still travelling, and got past the 300 and asked him for an effort, and away he went, and yeah, it was that win was a critical moment in my career. It really did open up a lot of doors moving forward for the years ahead. And you know, I've said this many times, I'll be forever indebted to Mike Moroney, Paul Moroney, and that ownership group. It was a remarkable day, and I was actually only talking about it yesterday with a young lad who wouldn't have been alive then at the time, and he said, "What's the biggest crowd you've ridden in front of?" And I remember that day. It was a beautiful sunny day, much like this, and there was 120,000 at Flemington. It was just unreal.
Yeah. Now at 20, you being the second youngest jockey to win the Melbourne Cup, do you know who the youngest jockey to win a Melbourne Cup is?
Is it Ray Selkirk?
No, it actually goes back to 1876.
Right.
And the jockey was 11 years old, would you believe?
Wow.
Yeah.
I should know his name. What was his name?
His name was Peter St Albans.
Okay, yeah, right.
And he was 8 days short of his 12th birthday.
Yeah, right.
So there's a bit of history for you. You're the second youngest jockey.
Yeah, right.
The youngest is age 11.
That's unreal.
But in a career, Kieran, I've got you listed as ridden of over 2,100 winners with 81 Group 1 wins.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal record. You must be very proud of that.
I'm proud with, you know, the number of winners. Obviously, it's a numbers game, and wins are everything we're after. And I've been very lucky, but I've ridden some wonderfully talented horses, both overseas and back here in Australia. And I'm very pleased with you know how it's unfolded for me. I've been able to have some great times on the track and win some really big races. And you know, I've ridden, as you said, a good number of Group 1 winners, 81. I'd love to try and get closer to that number 100, but it's slowed up a little bit in the last few years. But just the last few months, I've started to get a bit of momentum and ride a good number of winners moving forward. So who knows? We'll keep pushing, and the adrenaline and the excitement is still there for me on those big days and even those small provincial days. So as long as the fire in the belly is still there, that's all that matters.
Well, you've ticked off plenty on the boxes: the Caulfield Cup, the Golden Slipper, the Melbourne Cup, 3 times winner of the Everest.
Yeah.
What's left to tick off in the boxes?
The Cox Plate's eluded me. That's one of the majors. Yeah, I haven't been able to secure a good ride in that race the last few years, but that's the jewel in the crown that's missing, so to speak. As you said, I've been able to win Caulfield Cup, Golden Slipper, Melbourne Cup, Everest. The other one that I haven't been able to win a derby, an AJC derby or a Victoria derby's eluded me. I haven't. I've won a South Australian derby, which was special to me, being a South Australian born and bred. And the VRC derby's been a bit of a sticking point. I think I've run second in it 4 times, a couple of times really close finishes too. Yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of an annoyance. But anyway, like I said, hopefully they're still to come.
Well, I remember asking Corey Brown a couple of months ago. I said, Corey, you've run second in a Golden Slipper Stakes at Piero.
Yep.
Would you swap one of your Melbourne Cups for a Golden Slipper Stakes? And he shook his head. He said, no way, no.
Yeah.
Would you swap one of your Melbourne Cups for a Cox Plate?
I don't reckon, no. That's a good question, Steve. I've never been asked that. I don't reckon I would. I think that they're all special, I know, but to be there's only great jockeys that have won 3 Melbourne Cups or more. Yep. And I'm pretty proud to be alongside those guys on the list in regards to Melbourne Cup winners. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there was plenty of top line jockeys who throughout their career never won a Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Malcolm Johnston,
yeah.
Kevin Langby, 2 of the greatest of the Australian tours. I mean, Malcolm went close with Kingston Town, of course.
Yeah.
And some say he went too early, but that's a debatable point. Will go on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so to win 3 and for Corey to win 2,
yeah,
that is an effort.
It's a remarkable thing when you think back. I always think back to when I was a kid, and Mum and Dad used to let me have days off school on Melbourne Cup days. I'd sit at home on my own because they were working back in Streaky Bay, and I was just very passionate about horse racing as a kid. And I remember laying there. My first vivid memory was Kingston Rule winning with Darren Beedman on board, and then Let's Elope, of course, Stephen King. And to think that I would have been 11 or 12 at the time, and to think that only 6 or 7 years later I was going to be winning one of my own, and my first of 3, it's remarkable. That race itself really did capture my imagination as a kid, and And yeah, it makes me smile and feel happy thinking I've been able to achieve it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now, Kay McEvoy is also in good company because you share something with Winks, Mackay Diva, Todman,
Okay.
Bart Cummings, Black Caviar, Gunsind, and Burnborough. And there's probably others I've missed.
What's that?
You've got a statue.
Oh yeah.
Statue in Streaky Bay. How did that come about?
Yeah, they're passionate sport lovers over there in Streaky Bay, and I must admit I was a little bit embarrassed about the thought of it when the local council and a fella whose name is Jeff Hull, and he's a racing lover and friends of my family, and he works on the council over there, and they first put it to me and I was like, no, I'm not that keen on the idea, and then they came back to me and said, oh, it'd be great while your grandmother's still alive, and to have a statue of you put in Streaky Bay. And I sort of thought about it, and I thought it'd be great for the local region, it'd be great for the local kids growing up in Streaky Bay to be able to see, you know, what a little country kid's been able to achieve. And Ken was able to do a fantastic image of myself, and the statue's fantastic. It's great. It's got a nice little spot there in the front of the bay, in front of the Streaky Bay Hotel, which looks out over the bay, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's fantastic. Yeah,
that's great, mate.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the movie Ride Like a Girl is obviously a story about your sister-in-law.
Yep.
And I've been busting to ask you this question for a while. Were you ever offered the part to play yourself?
I actually wasn't. No. I'm not sure I'm much good at acting either. So no, I didn't. It's a great movie though. It's a fantastic story, and the Paynes are very proud of what Michelle's been able to achieve, and I think that story is a dedication to the work ethic and the skill involved with being involved in such a big family, and you know, all credit to Paddy and the kids. They've been able to come through some tough times and get through the other side of it, and Michelle's she's a fantastic ambassador for racing.
And it just so happens a jockey actually played you in the movie.
Exactly, yeah. He did a great job. Cut there. What was his name again?
Jason Bembo.
Jason Bembo. I had a mental blank there, but yeah, Jason played a great role. The one thing I will say, we didn't get married in a bloody tin shed, me and Kathy. We often get ribbed up about that. So our wedding day was a bit more glamorous than that.
Now, going forward into the future, it appears that Reese and Jake are possibly going to follow in your footsteps with their recent success in the pony races. Will they follow in your footsteps? Yeah,
they love their racing and they love their pony riding at the moment. They've got some great ponies, and they enjoy it. So you know, we're just going to let them make their own decisions. It'd be fantastic if they do head in that direction. So they ride pretty well, and they're enjoying their show jumping, and they've got the final for the pony race. I think it's on All Age Stakes Day at Randwick this coming carnival. So. Who knows, there might be another win for the McEvoys there.
Brilliant, mate, yeah. Brilliant. Well, it's been great to catch up with you, Kieran, and let's hope it's not too long before 81 reaches 100 Group 1 wins, because you certainly deserve it.
No worries, thank you, Steve.
Cheers.